Okay, hello everybody. Schönen guten Abend, alle zusammen. I'm delighted that you've joined us for this online presentation of German A-Level at Hills Road. My name is Jill Phelps and I'm the teacher in charge of German here at the college. And with me for this talk, my co-presenter is Amelie Bowers, who is the head of modern languages. And we also have two of our upper six students with us, Sonia and Hannah. The students will obviously tell you about their experiences of German A-Level, and they'll be very happy to answer any questions that you might have. So just a brief word about the format of this session. I'll start by giving you an overview, presentation of German A-Level. Then there'll be the chance to hear from our two students individually, and at the end, we'll have a question and answer session. You're very welcome to write any questions in the chat as we go along, and we'll answer the questions verbally in the Q&A at the end. So once you've written a question in the chat, you don't need to keep an eye on the chat to see the answer. We'll deal with them all verbally at the end in the Q&A. So we hope that by the end of this session, you'll have a clearer idea of what German A-Level is all about, and that it will help you decide whether it's a good choice for you. So the first question, obviously, why study German? Clearly, if you're interested in German culture and the German-speaking countries, if you enjoy communicating, enjoy exchanging views with other people, then you're very likely to enjoy German A-Level. If you have a desire to understand in greater detail how the language works, get a better overview of the structures of the language, and obviously if you're as keen to develop your skills to as high a standard as possible, to achieve as high a degree of fluency as possible, then it would be a good choice for you. If you're already enjoying German at GCSE, then the chances are you will enjoy it at A-Level because your skills will only improve. If you already enjoy communicating, you'll enjoy it even more once you have a wider vocabulary, a better command of structures, better able to express your views, and better able to understand other people. I think it's certainly true to say that studying a language at A-Level widens your horizons. It gives you a different outlook on the world. And if you study a language at A-Level, it gives you a blueprint for the future, so you'd be able to pick up a new language from scratch more easily because you understand how a language works. We'd hope that after 2 years, you'd be as close to fluency as possible, and you'd certainly be in a position after a 2-year A-Level course to live or to work in a German-speaking country. So there's an overview here of the course content in year 12, so the first year of A-Level, and you might see some of the subjects, some of the topics here look quite familiar to you from GCSE. So we look at the family, the changing nature of the family, digital world, youth culture, but obviously the aim is to build on what you've already done at GCSE, so that instead of just describing your family, we look at how the family has changed over perhaps the last 50 years or so, reflecting changes in society. We'll look at topics such as the declining birth rate in Germany, the rise in single households, or topics such as gay marriage. In the digital world, we'll look at topics such as the pros and cons of social media, or the rise in our dependence on artificial intelligence. For example, we looked at how robots were helping elderly people in care homes in Germany. So all the topics are very much from a German-speaking angle. And the other topics, obviously, you can see here for year 1. In the second year of the course, the topics become a little bit more sophisticated. We cover immigration, we cover Germany and the EU, and it's certainly very interesting to see the EU from a German perspective. And we also look at unification and the aftermath of unification, which is a topic that students are usually really interested in finding out and finding out more about. So it's a chance to look at the politics, bit of geography, bit of history, and they're all very firmly set in the German-speaking world. We will study a film and a play. So we'll study a film in Year 12, which is very likely to be Goodbye Lenin. It's perhaps a title known to you, certainly probably known to your parents. A comedy, quite a poignant comedy, but a comedy set around the time of the fall of the wall and dealing with the immediate changes in East Berlin afterwards. The plot's a little bit far-fetched, but the historical background is all accurate, and it's quite a nice way in to looking at German unification, to look at how how it affected one individual family. Then by the beginning of this year, by the beginning of the second year of the course, we study a play, and that's very likely to be Der Besuch der alten Dame, which is a modern literary classic. It was written in the 50s, which might not strike you as that modern, but it is written in modern German. It's fair to say it's quite strange at first, and I think the students will tell you they probably wondered what was going on for the first 20 pages or so, but it actually is quite a thought-provoking text, and is just as relevant actually for today's society. We'll look at particularly the effect of consumer culture, and the students usually really enjoy it despite their misgivings at the beginning. The independent research project is a topic completely of your own choice. Every student does their own individual topic. The only requirement is that it has to have a link to the culture or society of the German-speaking countries. This will be half of the oral exam. The speaking exam is 30% of the A-level, and your individual project is exactly 17.5% of your final grade. So it's a big part of the final mark, and it's a chance for you to really get into a subject of your own choice and to show that you've researched it and understand it in a German-speaking context. So some of the recent topics include a student wanting to look at why Germany has decided to opt out of using nuclear power. Somebody wanted to look at how widespread the doping of East German athletes was. And some people choose slightly more personal topics, such as looking at veganism in Germany and how mainstream veganism is becoming, and whether there's differences between different areas of Germany, etc. So lots of choice. So this slide shows you a few little photos from lessons. The lessons, there's a strong emphasis on communication in lessons. We do a lot of class discussions. We do a lot of pair work, group work activities. Tend to be the longer reading and writing tasks you'll do at home. You can see on the right-hand side, there's a picture of a small group with our German assistant, and every week you'll have a speaking class in a group of 3 with a young native German speaker. So this year, not in the picture, sadly we haven't taken a photo of her yet this year, but we have a young German student from Heidelberg. She's just finished her first part of her degree in Heidelberg. She's spending the year with us now, and then we'll go back to complete her teacher training after this year. I think it's fair to say that for a lot of the students, the conversation class, 30-minute weekly class with the native speaker and a small group of students is probably the highlight of the German A-level week. In addition, at the bottom of the slide, a little note about independent study skills. Clearly, we've talked about the independent research project for the oral, but we also attach great importance to developing your independence. We allow you each week time to follow any topic you want, to read, to watch, to research, anything you want to, as long as it's obviously in German. And this really helps to develop your language skills, because if you're reading something that you're interested in, you're far more likely to want to read it than if it's simply a set task. We're very lucky in the college. We have very, very good resources. We have a SharePoint site for online resources, and I don't think students struggle to find things to do. There's links to podcasts, links to films, links to magazines, and there's lots and lots of things you can choose to do. We hold, and you can see on this slide, we have obviously the weekly conversation class. We also hold workshops, support sessions in small groups. We offer lunchtime activities. Admittedly, at the minute, these are a bit thin on the ground, but in a normal year, we would be offering a full program of talks. The German Society would run activities in the lunchtime. Last year, they put on an Oktoberfest. They showed a film. We had a mini Christmas market. So in normal times, I hope it's a lively department, and at the moment, I hope it's as lively as it can be. And then at the bottom, you can see we also have extension classes in the upper six, again in a small group for students really wishing to pursue topics beyond the A-level syllabus. So read some short stories, some poetry, or maybe do some extra hard grammar that goes beyond the A-level syllabus. So our Hamburg Work Experience Exchange, I must admit I'm very proud of this scheme. We've been running it now for 29 years. And every year then for the past 29 years, a group of Hills Road students have participated in the scheme. We're twinned with 2 schools in a suburb of Hamburg, Bergedorf, and approximately 20 students each year participate. We go as a group, so there's a teacher with them, but it's organized as a normal exchange where we match the students as far as possible according to personal information supplied, interests, subjects studied, family life, etc. So you're matched with a partner like a normal exchange program. You go and stay with the host family, but instead of going with them to school, you go off and do a 7-day work experience program. So you do 7 days in the workplace, and you can see here a picture of Natalie last year in a primary school, and she was a classroom assistant for 7 days. And Emil here on the right was working in a civil engineering company in Hamburg, and actually got the chance to go off on site visits with them and actually take, do proper measurements, proper work. A lot of the employers take students from us every year. We're very, very lucky. And they know that much as they'd like to practice their English on young native English speakers, they know that the reason our students are there is for the students to develop their German skills, and they do adhere to that. I'm not saying they never use English, but in the first instance, they will speak slowly. They will try and explain something in German in a slightly simpler way before, if necessary, obviously, using English. So it does mean that our students are really immersed in a German-speaking environment for the exchange trip. So 7 days in the work placement, and it's fair to say when they come back, they really do feel their listening skills have improved no end. And also because it's an exchange, but because you and your partner haven't spent all the day together, you've been at work, they've been at school, you're not in each other's pockets all the time, and I think you usually have plenty to talk about in the evening. So we normally go in February, March time, and then the Hamburg students come back to us, usually also late March, but quite often, because you then have an exchange partner, quite often students choose to go in the summer holidays, they choose to visit them again, or use their partners later on in the course to practice some speaking on Skype, maybe before the final oral exam. So it's nice to have a partner in place that you can do that with. Obviously this year, things are a little bit different. We're delaying making any group booking at the moment, but the idea is that our current lower six can still be matched. They can still have an exchange partner, someone to talk to communicate with. And then once restrictions are lifted, we can be ready to go. And the hope is that we can go in the summer term. Anyway, as far as your year group's concerned, we're very much hoping that by the time you're with us, then things will be back to normal and we will run the exchange in the normal springtime of the lower six. So you've got a chance here to read what 3 previous students have to say about taking German at Hills Road. Michael and Neve left last year, the year before last. They're both in their second year now. Michael reading German and Spanish at Bristol, and Neve in her second year of medicine at Leeds. And then Jemima left just now in the summer and was so keen to use her German that she's gone off to Switzerland, is working in a cafe come shop, but she's hoping to study languages and economics at Warwick. These are some of the frequently asked questions that we're asked. So the main difference between A-level and GCSE is that we go into the topics in a great deal more depth, and there's far more scope for you to develop your capacity for analysis, to apply language creatively, and obviously to try and get your fluency to as high a level as possible. You can do any subjects you like at A-level with German, and students in fact do. German maths and physics, German history, music, literally anything goes. You can either choose a subject that goes very well with German, i.e. another language or history, or you can choose something completely different because the skills that you're developing in German will also be transferable to other subjects. Higher education options, you can combine German with almost any other subject in higher education. So examples here, things like history or law or business. You can also, a lot of universities will give you the chance to have a year abroad, whether or not German is a main subject. It could be a subsidiary subject, or I can think of 2 students who left this summer, one doing computing in Southampton, who is hoping to have a year abroad, and the other one doing biochemistry in York, and is also hoping to have a year abroad in Germany. So lots of universities offer you that chance, even if you're not taking German as a main subject. These are some charts from the last few years. It gives you an average over the last 3 years. Clearly, we have very good students coming into college. We are a selective college, so you would hope that the results are very good, and thankfully they are very good. And I could also point out that we do add value as well, if I could show you some different charts. So we're obviously very pleased with these scores. And then these are just some examples of the sort of courses that students have gone on to do in the last couple of years. I'm particularly pleased that of the last cohort, we had a cohort of 27 who finished in the summer, and out of them, in fact, 12 have gone on to do German as one of their main subjects at university, plus the 2 who are wanting to spend a year abroad. So I'm really pleased that a lot of them realise that it's useful, that German is a skill for life. It's not just for the sake of taking an A-level. So very pleased about that. Okay, and now you have a chance to hear from our students. So we'll start with Hannah, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her experiences of German. Thank you, Hannah.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm in my second year of A-levels, and I'm studying maths, French and German. I chose to take German partly because I was good at it at GCSE, but also for the competitive edge that speaking multiple languages can give you in the working world. One thing I love about studying languages is that everything we do feels very relevant. So, for example, we learn about German history, culture, economics, and politics, and it's all related to the current world. I also enjoy the variety in terms of topics we cover and ways in which we learn. So I would say if you're looking for an A-level to boost your confidence, to open doors for you, and if you enjoy German at GCSE, then I would definitely recommend the subject to you. Spending time in Hamburg on the work experience exchange made me realise that I could actually see myself living and working abroad someday. So I'll be continuing my language studies beyond the next year, since that's something I'd really like to do.
And we'll hear from Sonia then next. Thank you, Sonia.
Yeah, so I'm Sonia and I'm also in my year 2 and I'm taking history, German and English literature. I wasn't actually like the perfect student for German. I like to say I was quite average at it, but I have definitely improved since I've been at Hills, and especially in my second year, like it's just definitely gotten a lot better. I mean, I also really want to point out the Hamburg work exchange because it was really a good thing to do. Yeah, I especially chose it as well because you get to discover so much more about the culture and the history of Germany, and that's something that actually really had me interested in German. I think the main difference definitely is like the amount of detail you go into in terms of history and culture and everything else. And I think that is definitely like a selling point. That was why I chose it. And I'm applying for European legal studies, and also I am going to be taking a year abroad, hopefully in Germany. And I think German is just a good A level to take, whatever you might be applying for in the future. It just sets you up with the skills that you need.
Okay, super. Also, Dankeschön. Okay, so we'll move on now to our Q&A session.
Okay, so the first question is, how many students take German each year and how many students would there be in a class?
It varies. We have 38 in the current lower six and 22 in the current upper six. So in the upper six, we have one set of 22, and in the lower six, I can't now do the maths, we have a class of 21 and 17. I hope that adds up to whatever I just said. And in over the last 3 years, the set sizes have ranged from 13 to 22, in fact. So some years we have 2 sets, depending on numbers, and some years just the one.
And how many lessons a week are dedicated to German?
The same as for any A-level at Hills Road, you'll have four lessons a week, and that would be the same for any subject. Obviously in German, the lessons are 1 hour and 5 minutes. So obviously in German or in any other language at A-level, you also have a 30-minute conversation class.
One student is asking, which exam board do you use?
We use AQA.
And another student is asking, if I were to study a language at university that wasn't German, would the A-level give me an increased chance of getting in?
I think certainly if you want to study languages at university, then any language at A-level is helpful, yes. As I say, once you've learned how to study a language, you've got a blueprint that you can then use to learn a new language, because you understand that there's tenses and things, and you can slot a new language into the knowledge you've already gained. So yes, I would consider it to be a bonus if you've already got a language at A-level, that a university would look on you very favourably. Yes.
Can I just say something on this one? I found actually with the IRP as well, that can give you a really good boost, something to write on your personal statement, because I'm applying for sort of economics-based degrees, and my German IRP is about why is the German economy so strong. So that's given me something to put on my personal statement, which will hopefully really help me with my application.
One student is asking, I would like to take English literature, history, and German at Hills. Would you recommend this combination?
I mean, I definitely would. There's such an overlap, like in those specific 3 combinations, depending on which history course you decide to take. I mean, I took the rights course, but even there's such an overlap with the German history that I learned in class in history that I felt that I was so much ahead of everyone else. And in English, the analysis side of the skills that you use in German, you actually get to use it in English as well. So I feel like it's one of the best combinations, if I must say.
Someone is asking, is it 100% exam or is there any coursework?
It is 100% exam, but it includes the oral exam, which is obviously taken at a different time. So the oral exam is 30% and is usually in around about the Easter time. And then you sit 2 written papers, one being a 2.5 hour long listening, reading and writing paper, and that's worth 50%. And then there's a writing paper that's worth 20%, where you write 2 essays, one on the film and one on the play.
And there's one more question. I took my GCSE, German GCSE in year 10. Do you think I would be at a significant disadvantage to my peers if I joined the course? And do you think I could catch up quickly enough?
I think if you want to catch up quickly enough, you certainly will be able to. It's probably a good idea to try and keep your German going in the meantime. Obviously, there's lots and lots of stuff online that lots of ways you can do that. But I doubt if the will is there to do the A level, I can't see that it would be a disadvantage that you've already taken the exam. No.
One student is asking, studying a language, a separate language aside from German. Should I mention this when I'm applying for German A level?
So do you mean that you're studying a language outside
Another language?
Please, yeah. I mean, by all means, yes. It's very interesting to know. Certainly, yes.
And that was the last question.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your interest this evening. Thank you for watching the presentation. I hope it has given you a better understanding of what it's like taking German A level here. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much to my student helpers and my co-presenter, and obviously to you for listening. And I'll just say, yeah, cheers. Okay, cheers.